Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
It's another Patreon pick this week,
Whoop whoop.
and gone for a theme as you'll seen, or the people who have voted have seen in the polls, centred around what some people in the film community, or movie watching community maybe, Noir-vember.
Like LA Noir,
Yes.
the game.
Well, not specifically that, but obviously like that kind of like dark thriller type of angle to it.
Hey. No.
Hey, what?
Don't be trying to get you Halloween back in, jumping on some fake bandwagon that's not even existing.
Well, there's loads of noir films that are from the black and white era and stuff that...
It's the word thriller that I think he should have used in Halloween time, not in November, leading up to Crimbo.
Why are you saying there's some of those things were thrillers in what we watched, or...
No, but I feel like thriller still is a more Halloween genre.
Not really.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Now you should be leading me with all nice fluffy things. Go on then. What is it they've picked?
So the choices were between Nightcrawler and Nocturnal Animals, which both coincidentally star Jake Gyllenhaal.
Don't get me started on him. I know all too well about him. And if you're a Swiftie, then you'll know what I mean. If you're not, then you won't. I've noticed Nightcrawler being on your list.
Yeah.
I have seen that, and I've seen the cover of that. The other one, I don't have a clue.
Okay. But the Nightcrawler won out of both anyway, which is the kind of one I wanted to see anyway, because I don't know... to be honest, I don't know a great deal about Nocturnal Animals.
I would have been interested in... Was it Nocturnal? What was it?
Nocturnal Animals.
Nocturnal Animals, because what's her face? The ginger-haired girl
Amy
from...
Adams.
Is she from Enchanted?
Yes.
I would have been interested to see a different role of how she would have been in, but yeah, we'll go with Nightcrawler. Just hope it doesn't scare me, because it's getting so dark nowadays that, like, is it this man that's, like, on the loose crawling after me? I don't know. Oh,
no, it's nothing to do with...
Weird men lurking in the
creepy...
shadow.
No, I don't think it's nothing to do with, like, anything supernatural. That's what I mean. I think
No, I just mean a bad man out in the dark. Because it's dark, they can do malice things.
Well, I'll read the synopsis and you give you...
Stop jumping to conclusions.
Right, yeah. So,
go on.
So, I guess that's it. Hang on. Yeah, okay. I guess that's his name. Jake Gyllenhaal's character's name. Lou Bloom.
What name?
A petty thief, becomes a photojournalist and sells footage of sensational and violent stories in Los Angeles to Nina, a news director. Soon, Lou turns desperate to stay ahead of the game.
I should relate, but I'm never really took to photojournalism. That was one of my pet hates when I did my photography degree. I could never do journalism, or paparazzi.
The stories, yeah.
Yeah, because I just feel like...
Invading privacy for, unless just to get a good story, get a scoop, yeah.
I think we studied one where it was this man took a picture of a baby being eaten by a...
What?
Yeah, or like
a human baby.
Well, I think it was literally like he saw it perish and didn't, instead of saving it, waited until like birds came down to eat it, to take a photo of it instead of actually save it. And that one when I were like...
That's horrible.
Yeah. I was like, no.
I don't even know what the situation is. There's just a baby just...
I think it's more like... I know this sounds awful. Is
it in another country?
Yeah. It's not this country.
Right,
but
I know
it still doesn't make it any better.
No.
It was obviously a poor country that, like...
Yeah, but stuff...
And I think it's to make a point.
Yeah.
And be poignant.
Yeah, like the horrors of it all, yeah.
But at the same time, it's like war photography. I just feel like that's... Yes, okay, we need to know and be realistic and see what happens. But at the same time, I just don't feel like photographing that is...
morally objectionable.
Yeah, like, if anything, I feel like he should have helped in that situation instead of taking the photo. So I feel like once I'd seen that about journalism and paparazzi and stuff like that, I just was like, nope, that's not my line.
So from what that reads, it sounds like he'll do anything to get where he needs to be to get.
Which I don't think is going to bode well with me.
Well, if you don't like him anyway,
I don't.
An actual person, then you're probably not going to like his character.
No, true. We have seen him in something else, which was all right in.
Source Code, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I just don't know what she saw in him. But she was only young. You can't blame her.
Right, we'll find out what Lou does.
What a name. Lou Bloom, I don't know.
So we're back with our thoughts on Nightcrawler.
The name of my company is Video Production News, a professional news gathering service. That's how it should be read and that's how it should be said. I also want to go to the next rung and meet your team, and the station manager and the director and the anchors, and start developing my own personal relationships. I'd like to start meeting them this morning. You'll take me around, you'll introduce me as the owner and president of Video Production News and remind them of some of my many other stories. I'm not done. I also want to stop our discussion over prices. This will save time. So when I say that a particular number is my lowest price, that's my lowest price. And you can be assured that I arrived at whatever that number is very carefully. Now, when I say that I want these things, I mean that I want them. And I don't want to have to ask again.
And we're back, having watched Nightcrawler. And how intense were Jake Gyllenhaal's eyes in this?
He was freaky. I don't know why Taylor Swift ever dated him. Well, this is all I know, really, apart from the other one performance I've seen him do. So I guess he's a good actor, unless he's just normally that freaky as a person.
Well, you're referring to Source Code, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because he's also he was Mysterio in the Spider-Man.
I don't remember that.
Not that memorable, no?
No.
What would you say is memorable in this for his performance?
Wouldn't be like, oh yes, and the award goes to Jake Gyllenhaal for this performance.
Oh, really?
I think he gives a okay performance, and he does a good job. But I won't...
Portraying what kind of character? The sleaze?
Yeah.
The stop at absolutely nothing to get what he needs to climb the ladder of success.
Yeah. He plays a good role. And is it an Academy Award winning?
I think it was.
I personally wouldn't be giving an award for it. Maybe I didn't like his character. I didn't like what he was. We already knew this, didn't we? We're going into this that I wasn't going to like this.
Yeah, I think that you're not really supposed to like him, and so that comes across the character being an absolute shite.
Like, I guess there's certain ones where you're like, oh, you're not meant to like them, so then you think the bloody good actors because, yes, he's portrayed it where I don't like them.
Yeah, you love to hate the villain.
You're like in the pantomime where you boo him and you hiss him, and like that's because they're doing a good job, I guess, because you don't like him. I think that's kind of this. But there's certain roles like Heath Ledger as the Joker. Okay. Now, he's no Heath Ledger. I get you. Yeah, it's a different way of portraying a villain, isn't it? But it's comedy. Yeah, but it's still got the eyes, it's still got the sinister and all of that. But in this one, he seems a bit more psychotic and a bit like everyone thinks he's a bit of a creep and a weirdo. And I don't know, I just think, well, the two level of performances, I don't know if it's how it's been written or what within this.
Have been, yeah.
But Heath Ledger seems to come off as the Joker a lot more refined.
He's more entertaining when when he's on screen, he lights up the screen, whereas you're solely focused mainly on Lou Bloom.
He's an absolute twat of a character. He's awful.
But as we learn through the rest of the film, there's not many other people who are kind of, again, just trying to piggyback off other people's misery and success.
I think that's the line of the job, isn't it? That's the problem. It's the work that they're doing.
Yeah. For the news channel as well. Like, oh, right, no, we've got to get this scoop on the story before anybody else. And just run it. Can we blur out the faces? Can we, don't say anything about these keywords and stuff just to get it out there.
If you get on the telly, your morals somewhat go.
Yeah, your ethics, and all that kind of stuff just go out the window a little bit, just to
And this is where I couldn't, because I'm too much of a nice person.
I mean, don't get me wrong, and it's like I agree with like how this is. Yeah, you can see this is definitely wrong of what they're doing, but
if you were getting a grant for it,
but we know it happens, we know it occurs.
Yeah,
in the thing, and
some sleazebag has to do it, I guess.
Yeah, it was like kind of interesting to see. For example, like saying, "Oh yeah, this could totally happen." The fact, like when the news reporters, the two the anchor man and the anchor woman, are like telling the story about the break-in later on in the film, and obviously got an earpiece in, and
that'd annoy me.
Nina, who's like one of the studio execs or whatever, saying that, say push this, like, they're still at large or whatever, it's like, and so they have to,
they're still as
they're talking, like, and yes, we still don't know where the criminals are and all that kind of stuff.
We repeat, the criminals are still on
emphasise this, and that's probably what happens. They'll have somebody in their ear saying that's feeding them information of what to say, so it makes it hit home to the viewers.
And it's scaremongering. Mm-hmm. That's literally all this is.
The news.
Yeah, sadly, that's all they want to do is kind of threaten you, scare you, make sure you don't want to leave your house and just watch the telly, isn't it? Basically, that's the job.
Who would choose to sit and watch the news constantly?
I might get shamed for this and be like, oh, you're so intolerant of what's happening in the world or whatever. I don't watch the news. I hate the news. I can't tolerate the news. I have an unhappy day if I watch the news because the world is shit. And I'd like to wake up and not have a load of shit on my plate. And it sounds very selfish of me because it's like you're cocooning yourself in your own world and you're being very ignorant of what is happening in other people's life. And I'm aware of that. Mm-hmm. But for my kind of sanity, I need to do that. Because otherwise I'd want to take on...
You can't get through the day if you knew, like, the troubles in the world all the time, and it's like, I've got my own problems to deal with.
But I'd want to fix everybody's problems. I'm a fixer. I want to fix everything. I want to solve it. And then I'd take on too much, and it'd burden me out. And it's like, so I could never do what he's done, where I'm like, somebody's just been shot.
Let's get in with
get close. Like, I'm like, I'd be more like, are you okay? Do you need a hand? Oh, they're dead anyways. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So you don't have many other characters within this film. So you've got Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who's Lou Bloom, mm-hmm. It is Louis or Lewis.
Lewis, yeah.
You've got Nina, who's the director.
Oh, yeah, works at the exec or something.
You've got his Cameron boy, who.
Yeah, Rick or Richard is played by Riz Ahmed. And what do you think of him as in this role?
I feel sorry for him within the whole role because all he's wanting is somebody to give him a chance and get some money. He was wanting to have an income. He's not got a house. He's not got a home. And I feel like Lou just preys on that and preys on his vulnerability and weakness to kind of exploit him.
Yeah, because he's clearly looking out for himself in this. Because, obviously initially he was struggling with, trying to get there to the scene time on this crappy little camcorder thing. It's like, get out of the way and get the shots and stuff.
And
it's like,
initially wanted to work in, like, I don't know, he was collecting metal and selling it to a garage, and then wanted to work for the garage, and the garage were like, no, I don't want to hire a thief. All of that.
So he's a bit of a drifter at the start, so he's a nobody, and then he's thinking, oh, I've got a great idea, let's just jump on the bandwagon of this film crew thing, but do it all myself, like proper guerrilla style, and be freelance.
And credit to him, he works himself from the bottom, like, but is it the right way that he's doing everything and going about it? Of course, you need to see, if you want to be where somebody is, you need to copy what they've done to get there. Like, that's
how it is,
That's obvious. Like, that's what you need to do.
Inspired, essentially, to do that, yeah.
That's fine, but then when he's getting to a point of where he's being malicious and malice towards them, because he did actually offer himself to work for that company.
The guy initially, was like, oh, no, you want to join me, because he realised that, he's got there ahead of me now.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, let's try and bargain with you, let's make a deal, you get in one van and I'll get another, and we'll cover the city, and we'll be raking it in, type of thing. At that point, he's like, nah, man, I'm too
big for my boots, and don't want to be working for somebody else. He wants to be his own boss and be the manipulator. Mm-hmm. Don't want to be the manipulatee, if that's a word.
And so, with Richard, is really like, struggle, and you do feel for him. But initially I thought the way it was going to end, or lead up to that it was going to be like he then becomes the what's the word? The student becomes the teacher or the master, whatever that analogy is, something like that, where the roles reversed or something happens to Lou, and then it's like, right, well, I'm gonna, or he was gonna like double cross him or something. It means to like, I've had enough of this. I think I'm getting revenge on you for all.
If I was
the stuff you put me through, kind of thing.
Rick, I'd be like, I'm going. See you later. I'm not doing this. I just won't come back to work.
But I know, well, I've seen enough films, should I say, to know that, and stories about like how tough it is in like LA to get any sort of, in terms of like acting roles and stuff, in general, let alone filming stuff, and to get any sort of work, it's very expensive to live out there, to get by, scrape by. But it's probably the same in like New York, even London, if you want to set it to UK, because there's plenty there, but it costs a lot to live there, and for what you pay for pittance for,
I wouldn't want to live there.
to what you get in terms of real estate, it's hardly anything. So it's like you have to do menial work to get peanuts, really. And so it's the struggles of that. I think he just kind of plays that sort of like semi-nervous, kind of like, just going along with it, and
he don't really want to be there. He's just like wanting something on his CV. He's getting £30 a night, which is, imagine, well, how long are the days? Cause like
you can see, because even before then you're having to wait around to listen to the police radio for get the jump on anything. It's like, that's how you're having to fuel yourself to like be waiting around like a stakeout essentially, and like how many cups of coffee, how many trips to the burger van or whatever to get some food to to keep you alert and awake. And
but also it's like, well, you can't even make any plans. You can't go, oh well, I want to see my family on whatever day because there's an accident, right, we need to go and film it. So you can't. How can you make plans?
It's almost like they are waiting for the night time. That's where all the action is. They're not really bothering through the day other than to wait around until that dusk.
But then they still look like they're waiting, don't they?
In the first instance, yeah. And it's like, well,
so he's like doing like more than 12 hours for £30. Probably not even a penny, like per hour or whatever.
No, probably not. But I think that's just the nature of the task. Obviously, Lou is more into that, like, this is my life, and he's got seemingly no other responsibilities. No, we don't know anything of his family or anything like that. Any other friends? He seems quite.
I don't think he has any. He's a loner, isn't he?
Yeah. And so this works for him, but for Richard, it's not really.
Well, it's jeopardising his life as well. It's like towards the end, he feels like he's getting more and more in a vulnerable state where it's like, it's not just going to an accident scene, you might be going to more like a crime scene where things are actually still happening and you're videoing it, and you could be in the fire of it all. Yeah,
and you get those moments where you are risking your life essentially in some instances, or like, you're trying to do it really stealthily and without being seen to get these shots, and it must be tricky and exhausting to be trying to do that, even if people do that in actual fact for that kind of story. But
let's just speak about, there's a couple of things here. So the way that his relationship with Nina is very uncomfortable for me as a woman. So Nina is the woman in power. She is the authority in this relationship at the beginning. She's obviously can see that Lou's got potential, but his quality of camera and stuff is a newbie, is just starting out. She knows what she can kind of pay and what she can't pay. And in the end, it seems to be that
he's making the deals of like, and trying to almost like blackmail in her into, well, you need my footage to get your ratings up on the show, and so I'll take this somewhere else. I can definitely get more for this from another station.
But also, it's a case of, well, I want a relationship with you. It gets a little bit twisted where he's like, oh, well, I want to sleep with you, basically, and if you're not going to do that, then I can take my stuff elsewhere as well, and wants something else out of it.
Which you don't see any of that.
I'm so glad you don't, but it's implied
that something did happen, like at least once.
When you come to my house and I ask you to do something, then I expect you to do it. That kind of.
Which I kind of like. I don't. I was wondering if there was going to be, like, you know, with those hard cuts to like, so what's going to happen? And then, you know, suddenly they're in the throes of passion or something where that kind of happens.
It's awkward and
yeah.
it's... I still don't like the fact that it has to have gone down that way anyways. Like, it'd have been fine for him to just blackmail her with work instead of, like, that relationship as well.
But there's clearly was something there, because there was like another shot where they were kind of like really close face to face from the side viewers.
Yeah, I think he's manipulated it.
This is fantastic, and she's like, as if like she's like turned on almost by his level he's gone to, and so like it's sort of like a power play on his part. And so
I think it is, and I think as well
that attractive.
She's lost her screw loose. He's like brainwashed her somehow. The other part that I had a gripe with was when he'd come to a crash scene and he's like asking people, "Oh, what's happened here? Tell me what's happened." And he's like trying to dial it in and ring the police, like, and then he goes to the crash scene by himself and he moves the body.
Oh, to get a better shot.
Just to get a better shot.
And I looked at you and your actual mouth was like agape, with like eye shock, and I was like, push your chin back up to your mouth, because it was like you couldn't believe what you were seeing.
I just it's so wrong. Like, you've literally moved the body. You're not telling news now. You're just telling.
I don't know. You're twisting it in a way to make it like a bit more dramatic, because that lighting isn't quite good, or it's obscured from this angle. But if I do this shot, it's kind of like, wow, look, it's almost like photogenic. Yeah. In a weird, twisted way. But
and I think that's the thing. Like, I love photography, but I've never thought of a dead body as photogenic, or like, oh, I should use a wide lens, because he says that a lot, and it's like, oh, you know, zoom, you know, just certain words, and it's like they're all basic kind of camera terms, and not like, you know.
Well, you know better than me.
Any kind of techie language.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. There's a flash on his, so he can turn a light on his camera, but apart from that, he doesn't. But I think as well with this, he acts like he's Mr. Know-It-All, but all he does is Google everything.
You mean like locations and stuff?
No, because he even says like he's never actually had a proper school education to Nina, and if you want
being
something,
a self-taught, business class and all that kind of stuff.
I never know anything he's saying is true or not. I just feel like he just spindles up loads of lies.
Well, we know that because there's some evidence he hides from the police, doesn't he? So again, to sort of like better himself, or for a more of a bigger cut of money later on, to like, well, if I don't say where I saw the van and the people who were in it as they drive away, I can use this information to call it in for a different shot and get some more footage and get some more money from it. Yeah. So that's.
But I feel like that's wrong, because the criminals are out there now killing anybody, harming more people, and he's only thinking of himself to get more money. And in the end, the whole reason behind it was all like drug laundry or something with the mass shootout at the end.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a home invasion as I thought it was. But Nina's like, no, don't. That doesn't fly. Let's keep with that story, because that's more of a terrifying aspect to people if it's home invasion, because anybody could be out of that, rather than just not everybody's, you know, to do with drugs and all that kind of stuff.
Once you kind of hear that on the news, like I know personally, like it's somewhat self-detached. Like, well, I'm not selling drugs, so I'm all right. Yeah. And it's like,
I'm not purposely putting myself in trouble. Whereas, if you're home invasion, then
there's nothing you can do about it.
There's no just cause from anybody. It's like, oh, just because of me, it's like, oh, this looks like a nice house to just break into.
And I'm sat at home watching telly, and I've just been shot, basically, for no reason.
Yeah, getting fear-mongering,
Yeah.
But that last part, when they're sort of doing that, sort of like, I guess you could say, final stakeout at the restaurant where the criminals are sat having some food or whatever, and then Lou calls them into the police and waiting around, let's say, describing them and all that kind of stuff. And then it's the waiting game of that, and then thinking, I generally at that point gripped, like, what's going to happen? Is something going to happen to Lou at this point?
I knew it was going to be Ricky. I knew, because he was putting him in a vulnerable situation. He wanted him out of the car
to film from a different angle and all that.
Yeah. I'll stay in the car, which is, well, A, he can drive away and get further away, and B, Louis out, he's safe in the car, whereas Ricky's out on the streets.
Yeah, and I also didn't know, I guess it was sort of naive of me to think, because I'm thinking, what, the police should be here by now. But, like, thinking that it should be like blaring sirens, but it wasn't that kind of setup. It was more like a stealthy, the police, like,
just
quietly, like, just pulling in, walk and parking down a little bit down the road and then walk into the thing, just acting like, oh, getting some food from this Thai restaurant, and scout out, and then maybe quietly, like, say, call for backup or do something to get another squad car come in, and then that all kicks off and there's a chase from there, and that's quite another intense part. Like, we got like the way that the camera work was done with that car chase was like pretty solid work.
Yeah, I feel like it ramped up in the last half an hour and then kind of became an action-packed, kind of intense, gripping film.
Mm-hmm.
I think before then it was a bit more of a slow burn, like you're just seeing him kind of get to where he is, kind of progressing.
Mm-hmm. But ultimately, by the end of it, though, you're right in thinking that Rick dies.
Oh yeah, I knew he was going to die.
And that Lou would like, go check out the van to see if he's all right, and then he'd be in like a human shield basically, so that they could draw the guy out.
Yeah.
And then the police would come and finish him off just to make sure.
And also gets a good shot of the
his
friend.
Oh, look, my friend died. And that's when Nina was like, oh, the spectacular and stuff, like, your friend died, and they're like,
you're okay, and you filmed it still, and you like, what a trooper.
Yeah. But then at the very end, it's like there's no repercussion for what he did. No,
that's what pisses me off.
And admittedly, I was like, I kind of wanted,
I wanted him to go to prison. I wanted
something.
Yeah.
And that he's like getting like another squad. Like, he's got his own video production team to be like, right, it's having like a little team meeting before going out, and thinking, right, these guys are just signed up to do this, and they're all
apprentices, though.
Yeah.
Yes, he's probably paying nothing
for that. So where money to get the vans from, and I don't know. It's like, and
he got
and it's all like, hey, we're doing the business now, and it's like, okay, that's not what I was expecting to happen.
I didn't like how it ended, because it was like on a cheery note, and it just kind of made it sound like, oh, everything he's done is okay, and like we condone it, and you can be like this obnoxious, creepy, shifty character and get everything you want in life, and it's like, no, that's not really how it should fly.
But then again, it is truth be told, that house is, the story goes sometimes with people that do get away with it, and I don't necessarily agree with that's how it should have ended, but there's probably is some truth with that, and like I say, like how the news is twisted and edited, and
I'd rather him have gone to prison.
I think I would more prefer it if he got injured in the crossfire of something like
no,
that
wasn't going to happen, because he'd sent Ricky in.
But then, that just before the police came, that he still got shot, because
I'd have loved him to die, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. I think like more like I say somewhat a poignant ending to all his deeds that he's done. But
maybe, like, for example, the guy that he bugs that van and he gets really badly injured and then starts filming him. Maybe if something like that happened to him, and Yeah,
it's what I thought Richard would have done, like that.
Yeah, I like that ending.
Would have done the same, like filmed him in this and like, oh, look, like, the tables have turned, and look, like, you're in that situation.
I kind of feel like Rick or Richard or whatever his name is, he was a good person, and I think that's it shows, doesn't it? He would have never probably done that, because like even when he said, oh, don't film him, he's one of us, and he had morals and more respect behind it.
But for more of the fact that it would have gone that way, he'd gotten pushed around so much, and then he'd then gone, right, well, I'll just play the bad guy here, because that's the other way to get by in this city.
I'd like to think he'd just do that to Lou, and then he would come back to his morals, whereas like Luke treated him like crap, so he deserved it. So it's like justifiable if that was the case.
Yes, but sadly that's the ending we got.
True. And on that note, if we're getting to a point, unless there's anything else you want to add.
The only other thing I want to bring up is you sort of appreciate the cinematography, can't you? Like the nighttime scope of the city and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
no, definitely.
All those angles and stuff that say like
and the car chase at the end, yeah.
Particularly, and even with that when he was in that house and he was kind of like doing that first, but it felt like you almost like in as daft as it sounds, like a video game in a sense,
video
like
game,
like in a horror, like POV sort of view of it, and thinking like something's going to jump out, even though it wasn't. But
It was a bit eerie when they went into the room with the baby, and I was like...
wasn't, thankfully. Yeah, I think I would have been really... had a problem with, like, oh, there's a dead baby in there. I think that would have been... Yeah, no.
That would have gone over the mark.
Yeah, because I don't really like... it's done nothing wrong, and it's innocent, and... Yeah, caught in the crossfire, but thankfully it wasn't there, so I think, well, thank God.
Well, who's took it? That's what I want to know.
Well, where was it? Somewhere else, yeah. Now an orphan.
Yeah.
Essentially, but yeah. And it's just scary how these things can occur. It doesn't make it any less scary the fact that it's, even if it's drug related, it's still a scary world that this stuff occurs on a daily basis essentially.
Well, yeah.
Over the simplest of things, but it's harsh reality of it all portrayed on film. Yes.
The world has lots of horrible things that happen every day, basically.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I feel like you're definitely not going to... You might be like, what? How could you...
Don't tell me it's a 10.
No, it's not 10, don't worry.
I'm going to say we need a divorce if it's going to be a 10.
But, okay, I'm going to put 8.5.
Okay.
I was thinking 9, but then I don't know if it would still... It's teetering towards a 9, but of a first time watch, it's pretty solid. But then I'm thinking on future watches, would it still have the impact, knowing especially how the ending works?
I think because you know what's coming as well.
It wouldn't be something I'd be like, oh yeah, I want to rush back to that. I can appreciate what it was. I don't know if necessarily this would be a one and done type of scenario, but I'm going to stick with 8.5 for that. It's really solid, like especially the latter part where I didn't mind the build up to all to that because I knew it was kind of like getting to that point of like he's got to start somewhere and he's got to wheedle his way to get to those things, but I didn't know how it was all going to pan out with getting to that point, like how far he would go. I know we did see some shots of that occurring, but I guess I was expecting something tiny bit more shocking, like how that would to go like, oh my God, like get that sort of reaction from you, almost like how you were with the mouth agape moment. But obviously you had a different thoughts, I'm sure. So what's your score?
I probably think this is a one and done for me, just because of my morals and my ethics. And I know you shouldn't have to think about that when you're watching a film, but at the same time, I just feel like it just grates on my levels where I just feel like it's wrong and I don't like it.
And it's sort of grounded in reality, isn't it? So there's that level of
reality to it. Yeah.
Rather than an escapism of, oh yeah, this isn't real.
I did speak when we did this pre-ramble how I didn't like taking pictures of people who are either hurt or in pain or suffering when you could do something about it. And I think this is pretty much what this was. You have Jake Gyllenhaal, he gives a good performance, but he's a sleazeball and his character is absolutely awful. And he's sadly your lead character. So you're never going to think, oh, I really like this character, and he progresses and grows and develops in a way that you'd want him to. If anything, it becomes worse as he gets going. Mm-hmm. The last half an hour is the most interesting part of the film. Mm-hmm. The other bit is it's a bit long-winded. It's like, yeah, okay. I was really appreciative when they sped up all the videos that he did do, because I was like, oh, we're literally going to see every night.
Yeah.
I was like,
no,
Jesus.
God, no. It's just to get the gist of how he progressed, and then it's like, oh, here's a success now.
The camera, the way that they kind of do film, they have got a certain eye within the filming of it. But did I love it? No.
I thought as much.
Would I watch it again? No. Would I recommend it? If I didn't like you.
Oh, right, okay. Well, if you like your thrillers, you would recommend it to somebody if you say, like, if you wanted something that was kind of like dark and seedy and sort of twisted.
Yeah, maybe, but I feel like I could give them something better than that, because it's still not... It is and it isn't. It's like half par. It's like, it's not dark and seedy too much, but at the same time, it just makes you feel uncomfortable and uneasy a bit. Like, there's this... I don't know if it's Jake Gyllenhaal's eyes, if that's the thing. So I think I'm just going to have to give it a 6.5.
Okay.
Just because.
That's fair.
I feel like it's the 6 point. The 5 is for the camera and the artistry
of it all, the cinematography.
Yeah, I feel like the film. I don't know, Jake. I just don't like his character. He's just obnoxious.
You secretly don't like him, do you?
I secretly don't like him. I really don't like his character. I hope he's nothing like that in real life.
No, I don't think so.
Thanks, Patreons. Loved it. I blame Paul. He gives you the ones to pick out of.
But for a noir type film, or neo-noirs, like a modern age one.
Somewhat. It wasn't like LA Noir where I felt like they were investigating things and I don't know, they wore suits and they had nice cars. I feel like I'd rather...
He did have a nice car in the end.
Not like
souped up
LA Noir cars that I'd think of. I don't really know what LA Nero, whatever you were saying,
neo-noir.
Yeah, I don't really know.
More like a new age type.
I haven't really seen anything else to compare it to, so...
Well, there's quite a few in the genre, but...
Baby Driver one.
Maybe. I wouldn't spring to mind that bit. I think I'd put Pigeonhole that as more of an action film, but there's other ones there's a one with I know we've been meaning to get to with Ryan Gosling. I would class that as like a neo-noir.
Why don't we watch that then?
Because I knew I couldn't put that up against like another thing. I want that to be its own, straight to the point. Like that's a film we're covering, not a Patreon's pick which one we should watch, so that's why I did. But next year, I promise we'll get to that one because I think you'll really like that one. Yeah,
you already said Ryan Reynolds, so.
No, Ryan Gosling.
Oh, Gosling. I like him too now. Yeah. Since he's been Ken, there's a new love for him coming back.
Reaffirmed.
Yeah, I loved him from The Notebook.
Yeah. La La Land.
It's alright. I like him in La La Land, but I didn't love him.
No.
I fell in love with him when he was Ken. Well, Paul's like, okay, that's acceptable.
What is acceptable is if you become a Patreon and get to vote for future films we watch once a month. And of course,
then Sophie slates them.
And you have your name read out of your social media handle or whatever you've got going on. Read out every episode, which we're going to do now for who we've got as our patrons thus far. So we'll start with the podcast friends. We've got Nico from the Good, the Bad and the Weird podcast, Mark from 100 Things We Learned from Film, and Ben from Film Floggers. Over to you, Soph, for some of the others.
Thanks. So we have got your friend Gren under the handle cgren_draw on Instagram. You've got Alex under the name desperately_seeking_username on Instagram. Bit of a tongue full, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Both of them are. And then obviously soon to be, like less than a month now, bride to be, Shani. She is STOG on Instagram. And then my truly and wonderful mum. And lastly and not least, I'll leave you two.
Thanks. So, last but not least, we've got Jonesy, who is under the handle @WeightLossJonesy on Instagram, and his partner Emma, who is under the handle M_Hayton on Instagram.
That's why I always do Emma and Jones, because it's so much easier to do than Alex and Shani's.
So, if you want to sign up for Patreon, you can do so by going to patreon.com/SPFilmViewers. It's only £1 or $1.50 a month, and that support is very much appreciated.
It really is, and I do enjoy our little Patreon family. I'm still shocked that people listen to us, but I'm so grateful that they do. So thank you for supporting us and listening to us.
You can also support us by leaving us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else they do the scoring system. And of course, be sure to check out some of our other episodes over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts from.
And lastly, but not least, if you're not following us on social media, then why not? You can find us on pretty much everywhere. We're on Threads, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that jazz. I think we're even on Facebook, And you can find us on the handle SP_filmviewers. Leave all your lovely comments and like and support and talk to Paul.
Yep, please do.
Because, yeah, I half-ass it.
Yeah, it's always good to have a conversation with fellow movie podcasters and such. And
yeah, just anyone who's interested and has thoughts and loves films, then contact us. You can also probably be next year now, but if anyone does want to join our podcasts, we're always up for joining podcasts or having guests.
Yep.
So please reach out if that is something you want.
Yep. Well, thank you very much for listening to us once again, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.
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 Bye.